Well, 2023 was a wild year for so many in sprint car racing. How about this story? You've never been in a 410 sprint car, and you go and compete against the NARC 410 Sprint Series at Ocean Speedway. Oh, and it's the Howard Kading Classic. That's exactly what happened with Dalton Smith of Sparks, Nevada, and he's here to tell us his story and more. That's coming up next on the Getting Up to Speed podcast after these messages. Dave's Home Supply specializes in cabinets, flooring, and countertops. Visit their website at daveshomesupply.com to look at products, services, financing, and even a free estimate. Are you looking for bookkeeping, payroll, or income tax services? Then check out the folks at For You Simple Bookkeeping. They are a licensed tax preparer throughout the entire United States. For more information, click on the link in the description. Well, joining me on the Dave's Home Supply Getting Up to Speed podcast, we have Dalton Smith, who represents Sparks, Nevada, which is not sparking hot today. It is what we were saying, it was about to rain in the Reno, Nevada area.
Yep, we're right on the verge of rain right now.
Well, 2023, kind of a interesting year for you and your family. You, Dalton, getting the call up in the summertime to go in the family race car.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually came into the year with the intentions of my dad, Bill, running the entire NARC series, but I want to say around middle of May, he ended up getting a foot injury, which put him in the hospital. So I got the call up, which was completely unexpected. Didn't have any gear, no seat, anything. So really kind of got a curveball there, but I guess with some unfortunate circumstances come, hidden blessings. So that was cool to hop in the car. First race was at Watsonville, actually.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes, I remember talking to your sister of, okay, who's driving? I see your dad, but your dad's not dressed down. And she goes, that's a Dalton question. So then I went and asked Dalton the question, who's driving? And you said, I'm driving.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think you were just as surprised as everybody because, really, we weren't expecting that at all. And I had a little bit of previous experience. I ran about a half a summer in a Econo sprint up here in northern Nevada. So that was clear back in 2010, though. So to think, all the way up here in 2023, I'd be in a 410 injected car at Watsonville for my first time was completely unexpected. So we rolled in, everyone's thinking, man, I heard Bill had hurt his foot. I know he's tough, but there's no way he's driving tonight. And so we had a whole host of people coming to us going, who are you?
Yeah, I'm the driver. That's who I am. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, it's kind of a Ricky Bobby moment. We just took a crew guy and put him in the car.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, you should try these chicken sandwiches. They're amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. And I remember the first time I met you and your sister Shay was Kings for Anthony Simone Classic, and It was kind of like, oh yeah, who are you kind of thing. And then I don't know if it was her or if it was you, like, oh my gosh, this is the guy with the podcast. I was telling you about him, and I'm like, yeah, no, we got to get your dad on. And unfortunately wasn't able to get him on, but hey, we got you, which is just as good.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was Shay, actually. She had told me about your podcast, and I had given it a couple listens. I listened to the Dominic episode, I think Michael Pombo's, Caden Steele's. I've listened to quite a few of your episodes.
Yeah, well, thanks for being a valuable
Yeah, you
listener.
host a good
show. And for you, you're rolling out, you're getting pushed off and getting ready to put motor heat in. Was there any point in time you're like, this can't be real, or oh man, this has got to be a nightmare or something? Like, I have no idea what's going to happen.
That's a good question, because I thought going into, okay, yeah, get on with your chi, do your meditation. Yeah, all of that goes out the window. As somebody with very limited to no experience, you get in that car and it's a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. I mean, we were never a sprint car family coming up to begin with. We were always modifieds and motorcycles, and sprint cars were that was surreal. You grew up watching it and hoping to be a part of it. So the first time I got in the car, it was like, I can't even believe this is real. It's something completely outside the realm of possibility, or what I thought was possibility. So yeah, that first time you hop in, it's surreal. And then you get fired off, and you think it's going to go away, but you're still sitting there going, holy crap. I mean, this is a lot of power. You've got guys like Corey Day and Joey Ancona rolling around you. You're thinking, wow, okay, this is real now. And then once you kind of get that cue over the receiver and they throw the green, all of that goes out the window, and it becomes muscle memory. But I swear, as soon as they would throw that checkered or caution, it was like the emotions were right back. You're thinking, holy crap, I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah.
And as somebody that I didn't race micro sprints or karts or anything. So to be in this realm of guys is still very surreal.
Oh, no doubt. And then once, okay, we've got the motor heat in, hot laps, then qualifying kind of had to sort of be a bit enjoyable for you because it's just you out on the racetrack, so you're able to. Well, actually, no. Was that the weekend that they did? Now that I say that, they did group qualifying with SEC.
Yeah, we did a group. Yep, we did a group qualifying.
I was gonna say, it had to feel great just being out there by yourself, but no, the one race you show up to, they did group qualifying that night.
Yep, and in our group, that's why I said that is, I look at the board, I go 14 and 88, dude. Joey Ancona and Corey Day, those guys are rippers. I mean, what the heck? So we didn't get the individual qualifying, but it was kind of cool because you could kind of gauge what they were doing eye wise. You could see, like, I followed Joey and I would kind of watch his entrance and what he was doing and try to copy it as best as I could. And, yeah, so that went as good as it could have, I guess.
Yeah, and then obviously got to the heat race and all that good business. You were able to compete in some competitive laps, and for you, kind of what was the game plan or what was the goals that you'd set yourself up? Obviously, don't crash, right? That's usually priority number one. But outside of that, was it just get some good quality laps? Don't worry about where you're running. Just kind of get some good experience.
Exactly. That was the game plan going into it. I knew that I wasn't going to go into it with any speed, so my objective was make as many consistent, clean laps as possible, and really try to get a feel for the car in those hot laps and our qualifying session, and see if I could run the top comfortably, because I know that the cushion can really suck you in if you don't commit to it. So I wanted to see, okay, let's just see what it takes. So that was my main objective, is see if I can run the top smooth, not fast, but at least smooth, to where I know the leaders are going to be coming, leave them an option to run the bottom, get around me, and just try to build a good technique and then let the speed come from there. And if my second primary goal going into that weekend was try to make at least 2 clean passes, and actually achieved both of my goals. So I was happy about that, but I really showed myself how easy it is to make mistakes in these cars, because I made 2 of those clean passes, and it wasn't a half a lap later that, oh, you blow the cushion and there they go right around you.
Yeah.
So,
well, and
that was my goal going into that, though, is just clean passes and clean laps.
And I was going to also note, yeah, sure, you'd never been in a 410 sprint car, but you had some time working on these things. You and Shay, preparing the race cars, adjusting the race cars, so you knew the fundamentals of how the parts work and what sort of adjustments need to be made when they need to be adjusted. And I think that's a bit of a knowledge that you can take that's positive.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually, I'm happy I was working on the car before I ever drove the car, because it did give me that baseline understanding of how they work and putting myself in the seat, knowing what adjustments to make to achieve the proper effect. So that was actually something that kind of gave me peace of mind as a driver.
Yeah, cause and effect. If I do this, it's going to make this easier in that way, or it's going to make it harder this way. So
yeah, exactly.
And they go and water the track. So then, all right.
Yeah, and then all of that's out the window.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was Howard Kading Classic weekend. And then I know that you guys were able to go to some other races. I do know I bumped into you guys for the Tyler Wolf Memorial, so that would have been Silver Dollar Speedway, kind of in
Yep.
late August. And then you guys were able to make some other trips to some other racetracks.
Yeah, we did actually quite a bit of traveling for not having a whole lot of races in this year. We really hit a lot of key tracks, I would say. We went, we hit some Placerville, had some success there, and then we did the Tyler Wolf race, and I was injured at that race. That was after a wreck at Placerville. I ended up bulging a couple discs in my back from a wreck there. So that was the first exposure to Chico, and I thought, holy crap, what a fast track for how small it is. And when we hit Chico, and then from Chico we did Stockton. What other ones did we hit? Actually, we went to Petaluma. Petaluma, that was the first main event I've ever made. That was that was a tough track. That tide came in and it was heavy. You better hold that throttle to the floor and use those brakes, otherwise you're going to wear those arms out.
Yeah, finished 16th in the main event. It was definitely an eventful one where people got to figure out what was behind the fence of turn number 2. So,
yeah.
Courtesy of what was that, Kayla Montgomery. So
yep, biked it right into the fence.
Yeah, that mystery was solved, and then it was just one of those wild nights, right, where no position was safe, and guys were just having unfortunate luck, and guys were having some lucky breaks towards the end.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure for the fast guys, it was one of those races you're going, oh man, pulling your hair looking at the lappers coming, because that was a super one-line track and it was a fast one-line track. So as a greenhorn, it was, it was a little bit stressful because I knew that, hey, there's really not a lot of options out here, and not having the racecraft, that even left me fewer options. But I don't know, we did pretty good as far as kind of holding our own. And then as guys like Willie and Justin would get around us, it was nice to be able to see how they would approach things. And then as that race wore on, man, a lot of guys wore their equipment out and just started DNFing. So it kind of opened up the track for us to showcase a little bit of what we can do. Because by about halfway through, I could see that my conditioning was kind of coming in, where I know talking with some of the drivers afterwards, they're telling me, oh man, I was gassed. Where I started kind of coming in halfway, and worked in my favor as far as I didn't have that lactate threshold where I was getting arm pump or anything. And it was nice. You can kind of start running the outside and opening up that entry and carrying some speed, which as a newbie was kind of nice, because you really get limited when you're not in those main events.
Well, and you guys topped the year off in pretty incredible fashion with a 13th place finish at the tribute to Gary Patterson at Stockton.
Thank you. Yeah, that was another good one. That was the first big track. Well, I ran Hanford before that, and that was pretty good. That was a limited night too, but that was the first time getting on a big fast track like that. And qualifying went pretty good. Heat race went okay, and then we rolled around for that main event. And as Shay was pushing me around, I could hear her going, dude, this is like a motocross track out here. I mean, it was just like, oh, exactly. It was rough. It was hooked up. It was slick. It was pretty much everything. And we got going there, and about the third lap, I went into turn 1. I was following Ashlyn, and just no brake pedal. I'm thinking, holy crap, that's not what you want here. Pump it, you get a little bit of brakes, no brake pedal. Pump it, you get a little bit of brakes. So we kind of managed. We were going, and I was about to pull off. I'd gotten lapped for, I don't want to admit it, but I think it was like my third time getting lapped because I had no brakes. Thinking, you know what, this ain't fair to these guys. I gotta, at least it's an open track, Stockton is, so you can kind of set yourself up outside and kind of veer off the track and just pull off. And just as I'm pulling off, they throw the yellow flag, and Cox is off turn 1, 5 laps to go. So I thought, hey, you know what? Even if you're dead last in the main event, at least it's not a DNF. We'll just finish it out with no brakes. So we mustered through and pulled in, found out we cracked the fitting out of the front caliper. So that's why we had no brakes. But it was nice because it kind of showed me that we could still do it. Where if we had a car that was 100%, I think we could have actually been, all day, we could have been a top 10 car.
Yeah, yeah, no, I remember that race very well, especially for the NARC portion, where it seemed like it raced like kings. And this isn't anything against, the technique for track prepping. It was just how it came out with just the elements of everything, just
Oh yeah.
tons of speed. And then I just remember Buddy Kofoid was like, "Whoa, what are those things? Plinko, like one of those balls that just go left, right, left, 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 right, right, right."
Oh
Kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just like holy smokes. Mainly in turn 4, I remember, but
Oh yeah.
it made for some interesting racing, and it made for a race that was enjoyable, and at one point looked like there was going to be an overtake.
Oh, absolutely. I remember watching the 410s from the trailer. We were watching the broadcast, and I still don't know how Buddy drove that track as aggressively as he did. That's impressive. Because, like he said, in the car, it is like left, right, left, right, left, right. Your head is just vibrating. All you can do is go, yep, I think I'm going the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like there's you guys know this, that I'm a pretty big Formula One fan, and so they kind of Mario Andretti, like in the late '70s, kind of came up with the term like porpoising, when the car would just kind of bounce up and down, kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there was some orca whaling right there. So
Yeah, exactly. We were getting our shamu on, that's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah. And again, this isn't a swerve at the track prep team or anything. It's just
No, I mean, hey, it's just sometimes it happens. That's just the way it goes.
It was
dirt.
a cold fall night, and that's the way the cookie crumbled.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to see the new stocks, and I think it's going to be good.
I think so too. What is it? Third mile? They're saying originally it was.
Yeah.
The talk was it was going to be a quarter, but a third mile. So, if it's wide and racy, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's a good venue. I mean, it's a really nice facility, I think.
It is. It really is. And I'd never been there before, and it reminded me of like kind of a fairgrounds track I had went to in Central Washington that actually used to run horse races there as well. So there was a lot of similarities with the betting windows and just the big grandstands and really nice grandstands, which that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and definitely a big facility too. Like as far as like if they needed overflow parking for transports, they definitely got it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So so for people that are nervous of like, oh, I don't know if I want to go to Stockton, it's a really nice facility. The pit area is great. Just yeah.
I was a doubter at first, and after running the place, it's one of my, I don't know, I would say one of my more favorite tracks. It's an easy tow for us, and it was actually a nice facility. Good crowd, too.
Well, and that's something I was going to ask you, too. You guys traveling from Sparks, Nevada, just right next to Reno, it's an away game every time you guys go, unfortunately. I mean, you and I were talking about this, 95A Speedway or Reno Fernley Speedway. It's been a couple different names, unfortunately. Not really doing anything circle track wise, but man, if they were able to get something going for you and your team, that'd be wonderful for you guys.
Yeah, it would be cool to see him make a charge again, because at one point, like in the early 2000s, it was a good track, and I remember they used to be back when NARC was Golden State. Golden State would go there, and they'd usually put on a pretty good show, but anymore, I think it's really, it's more just overflow parking for trucking. I don't ever see it coming back, but it would be a bit of a help for us tow wise, because the closest thing is like right now would be Placerville at just under 3 hours.
Yeah. And as far as because I remember like back 5 years ago or so, there was like a Northern Nevada sprint car deal, kind of a spec sprint, economy sprint deal, but they do that much anymore?
It never really took off. It kind of stayed stagnant. It still exists, but they run about 6-7 times a year. Mm-hmm. And even that's pretty spread out. Like I think their closest race would be Susanville, and that's a good track actually.
You were able to lay some laps down at Susanville, right?
Yeah, we went out there for a test session. After that first weekend at Watsonville, I told my dad, hey, I want to go out here and test the car with nobody around. So we went out there with the 410 and tested it, and everybody was beside themselves because they had only seen the Econo Sprint. So we busted out that Shaver 410, and they were loving that.
They were probably saying, hey, you need to bring some more of your friends.
Yeah, exactly. We talked with Jeff Olszewska about maybe getting something for SCCT or NARC, or
Hmm.
maybe like a one-off money show up there, which might happen in the future.
That's super cool. I've only been there once. Diamond Mountain Speedway is what he's referring to in Susanville.
Yep.
It's a fun place. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's scenic. It's not too far from Reno. It's a little bit of a hike from some other places like in California, but like what was crazy is I was there in 2020, and it was for a big IMCA show they had, and they had like a deer with like a doe, and they had a baby deer. It couldn't have been very, very old, like just a couple months old, and it was
Yeah.
laying down kind of in the brush offside turn one. So they had to throw a red flag because they had wildlife interference. So, and then the next day I'm walking through the complex, and there's a deer like just walked right in front of me, like just as
That's pretty on brand for Susanville. Yeah,
Man,
that sounds about right.
it's crazy. It's tame. Good thing it didn't have teeth, or it'd try and pull, pull
Some
me
rabid deer, yeah.
pull me in its lair or something. Like it was just sitting kind of in just a horse warm up barn, and then it got up. I'm like, man, I wonder how close I can get to this thing to take a picture. I have it somewhere, but I'll have to text
It's
it
a
to you.
super tame town like that.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
Well, you would not think though, because I was talking to somebody about this. Susanville is one of the only towns I know they got like a state prison, a federal prison, a county jail, and the local city jail. So it's
Yep.
it's it doesn't take too much to figure out what the prime type of business is around those parts.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Anybody you talk to in Susanville, most all of them work at one of the penitentiaries. It's that's the biggest W-2 provider there.
Sure. Yeah, and Honey Lake is just and that place is really gorgeous. I remember going to a rabbit show with my wife Stephanie that passed away a couple years ago, and it was like right around sunrise, and it was kind of in the spring. So the lake was there, it wasn't dried up or anything, and it was just it was definitely something memorable, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's gorgeous scenery. It's one of those places where if we do get a race up there, I think everyone would enjoy it.
Yes, no doubt. And the people there, the fans there are really good too. That's also something
very
important
hospitable, and they love their racing.
Yes, indeed. And the Oshefka family, I think it was the first year or so when I was there in 2020, and they've really just, because prior, like, you never really knew what happened at Susanville. I know they had some big late model races back in the day. Every now and then they'd have like a big modified show. I think they had like a North State Challenge deal that kind of operated, but like,
yeah, I remember that.
Nothing much though. Like you didn't hear too much unless it was a big race.
Yeah, it was never one of those tracks that was real sought after, because back in the day we had Quincy, and Quincy used to put on a great show.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was until Jeff got involved. Jeff really did a great job as a former racer himself. I mean, he came into that place and just completely rebranded it. And he's done an excellent job with it and made it to where it's one of those tracks on the West Coast that now it's starting to get some notoriety.
Yeah, it's definitely a diamond in the mountains, that's for sure.
I like that. Good play on words right there.
There you go. Yeah. You're welcome. American Valley Speedway in Quincy. Yeah, they used to have NARC back in the day when it was Golden State branded back then.
Yeah.
And Civil War went there a couple times too. And very gorgeous and scenic with all the trees around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, American was the first place I ever watched Tyler Walker, and I thought, holy crap, that guy's a freaking animal.
Yeah.
He was running that green 24 car, running the Golden State Series.
Scott Chastain car, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Man. Yeah, no, super, tracks I think that are kind of forgotten about, even though they're a little bit off the beaten path of Interstate 5, but definitely some potential there with something. So
yeah, absolutely.
But for you guys, have you got kind of a good idea what you want to do for 2024? Have you got a set schedule, or are you guys still kind of in planning mode?
We're still kind of in limbo right now. We have a tentative plan. My dad wants to hop back in the car. We're going to go down in January. We're going to go down and run one of those ASCS shows in Arizona, and he would like to hop back in the car and kind of see how he feels. Since he's had his foot operation, we don't really know how his feeling's going to be. So he wants to at least try to drive the car once or twice, and then from there, we actually just picked up another 410 last week, so we're gonna put together a pretty solid 410 schedule for this next year and really try to hone in on that. And nothing really set in stone series wise though. As far as we'll run the NARC shows that we can, run some of this high limit stuff, and then from there, really mainly just weekly shows between Placerville. Hopefully we can get some more races up at Silver Dollar and Chico. That would be cool because that's a good tow for us, and Colby does a good job there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And other than that, though, nothing's really set in stone. We just have the intention to go do as much 410 racing as we can, try to maximize on our dollar there, and run what 360 races we can.
And then just for perspective for some listeners, so Reno, you guys drop down 80, like to go to Placerville, for instance, what is that? A couple hours? You just hit?
Yeah, it's like 2 hours, 45 minutes. So we would you hop on I-80, go over Donner Summit, and then you get off at Sierra College Boulevard right there. And then you got to cut all the way to 50 and go all the way back up to Placerville. So
okay,
really no straight shot for us. It's, it's a lot of drive all the way over and then double back.
I see. I wasn't sure if you guys like took the Tahoe Lake tour or whatever. So
yeah, I mean, when my dad was going last year, I was living down in Gardnerville.
Okay.
And so I had a Pontiac G8 with an LS motor, so I would take those back roads, and dude, I got there in like 50 minutes one time, doing 110 the whole time, just ripping.
Yeah.
So it can be done, but not with this setup.
He was going 65 and, a 60, so.
Yes, exactly. I should have waited 7 years before I admitted that.
Yeah, exactly. Statute of limitations, yeah.
Yeah.
CHP is going to be sending you a Christmas card here now.
They probably already have.
Yeah, exactly. In Gardnerville.
yeah, Gardnerville. So use that residence, exactly,
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yep, that's where I'm at, so.
Yeah.
No, but... that's a lot of our tow is, I mean, there's a lot of hours on the road just because there's really no easy way with the truck and trailer. It's I-80 and then you're either taking the 99 or the 5 or anything from there.
Well, and something to bring up to your lovely sister, Shay, is she used to race too, right? At one point?
Yeah, she did a summer in an outlaw cart, but I can't even really call it that. She didn't really get a fair shake on that one. Her cart was kind of a rough box, and my dad was pretty determined with his modified racing. So she kind of got like a scrappy outlaw cart and did cycle in for, I don't know, she did it like 5 times, I think. And she did good. Every time she went, she actually made main events. And
okay.
When she was doing it, man, she was racing with some rippers. Like Rico was still doing it. Mason Moore was one of the guys. There was quite a few rippers. So she did good. She ran that 250 intermediate class, and then she did like a winter of motocross racing when I was doing motocross, and she did good at that too. So maybe you guys will see her in the car next year.
There you go.
She's got some athlete to her.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think she seems to take a lot of pride in the team and everything, and making sure it's prepared and ready to go, and making sure that you guys are working on it too when she's on holiday.
Oh, yeah. No, she ain't afraid to crack the whip, but it's all right because we respect her as a boss, so we'll do what she says.
There you go. Yeah. Well,
she's a badass.
She hasn't unbolted your seat and threw it at you, so that's good.
No, she'll make me unbolt it myself. That's the type of boss she is.
And throw it at yourself, too. So.
Yeah, she rules with an iron fist.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, it's been great catching up with you and great getting to know your story as well. For when you guys are racing on the road, or what plans you guys have as far as results or upcoming events, is there a good social media page that you guys have out there, or do you guys have a website that folks can follow along?
Right now we don't have any race page or anything like that. We don't have any of that actually. We probably should get on that.
Okay, but just send you a friend request if there's any people out there want to know more about you, I guess. So
yeah,
put you on the auction block.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I don't have Facebook. I only have Instagram right now. It's just a personal page. So you can find me on Instagram.
And then, are you guys planning to do like an apparel run that and folks can help kind of fund the team that way and support you?
Yeah, actually, that's what I'm actually working on right now is doing some apparel and some designs that way, and then I'm going to set up a Shopify for all of that.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Well, definitely let me know because I'll be hitting you up. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe if we get back on the show again, we'll have all that ready. Drop the plug.
Yes, absolutely. Sponsors, any people that you want to thank before we let you go for the evening?
Yeah, I'd definitely like to thank my family first and foremost. My dad for making all of this possible and believing in me and putting me in the car, and Shay for being a badass and freaking always having my back and having that peace of mind in her as a car chief that everything's there. And then as far as patrons go, I'd like to thank Greg Gerhardt from Gerhardt Berry Construction. He's actually one of our customers from our mechanical business, but he supports us in the racing as well. So aside from him, I'd like to thank Steven Tyner and Kyle Hurst for being good mentors and always being there when we have car questions. And also Travis Labatt, he's been a real one and kind of stepped up and kind of helped coach me these last few races. And yeah, that's who we got for supporters right now.
All right. Well, sounds wonderful. I hope that you and the family obviously send them my best, but I hope it's an enjoyable holiday season for you, and we'll be seeing you at a race real soon.
Right on. Thank you, Ben. Thanks for having me.
This episode is a production of Highside Racing Promotions. Be sure to like the YouTube as well as Facebook page and like these videos. The more likes and the more attention it gets, and we would like to get as much information out to the racing community. Whenever or wherever you're watching these episodes, we hope that you enjoyed them